Well, welcome back to Tina Feigal. I'm so excited to talk to you some more. And my question for you today is about how children react when they're emotionally charged. How does their brain and their body respond to being so emotionally charged?
Well, thank you for the question, Dori. And I mentioned it in the first part, and I have a few other things to talk about. The threat alarm is the amygdala, and it's right near the brain stem where all the other automatic things happen, like breathing and digestion and eye blinking and heart beating, all the things we don't have to think about to survive. So right near there is the sensor to see if there's any threat to the survival of the child, and that's the amygdala. So the threat alarm, like if my mom and dad don't see me, it's going to fire. And it doesn't care whether the attention the child gets is positive or negative, as I mentioned before. It just says, see me, see me, see me. So then the parent sees the child by giving them negative attention for having a meltdown, and that amygdala is satisfied for a little while. The amygdala registers, okay, that's how you get their attention. You have a meltdown. And so, we really want to train that brain to realize you get attention when things are going well. And mom and dad are seeing you, seeing you, seeing you when things are going well. So the brain learns, that's how I get the attention. So you can use the phrase, I feel because, on all the good stuff, to give the child the attention that amygdala is looking for, and it's highly rewarding. So parents are going to see the good stuff again. So when you stop at the corner and look both ways, I feel on top of the world because it shows me you know how to keep yourself safe.
I love that idea because you could really pull that into almost any scenario, right?
Yes.
So what if you were in a situation, let's say two kids are fighting. Both siblings are arguing over a toy, not sharing well. Could you give me that same scenario in that case?
Sure. Let's say that they're not fighting yet. What I really want to do is help prevent those scenes. So let's say they are both engaged in the same toy, which, sharing doesn't really come into effect in child development until age 3. So if we're expecting 1.5 and 2-year-olds to share, we're not looking at how child development works. The brain's not there yet. At 2, everything has to be mine, 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 mine. That they're learning ownership, and they do it with a passion because it's new, and they have to get it established. And so if it's mine, it's mine, and you can't have it. So sharing doesn't happen until they grow into the 3-year-old range. Right? That's the first thing to understand. So we want to prevent the meltdowns over the toy by saying, look at you two. I see you sharing that donut, whatever it is they're having. And it just makes my heart sing that you two are giving each other part of the donut. It's beautiful.
I love that positivity. I love that you're reaffirming that you see them, that you're, giving them a gift of being seen, and also just praise for something that it's an expectation for you.
Yeah. And, I don't really like the word praise. I like heartfelt appreciation better. Yeah. Praise sort of connotes, I'm up here, I'm the authority, and I'm praising the underling down there for the good thing that I want again, And So heartfelt appreciation comes from your heart. So I feel because when you share that donut with your sister, I feel just so impressed because it just shows me that you care about each other and that you're willing to share. It's just beautiful to me. So do you see the difference between that and good job sharing with the donut with your sister? I mean, it can really have a huge effect on the child when you have your heartfelt appreciation as your major tool for parenting your children, because you cause the child to feel seen and you give energy for the thing you want, which reinforces it and it helps you get that behavior again. It also lifts the child up as I can do the right thing. So I want to talk about the heart a little bit too, because that's another body part that's highly engaged in this situation. Heart Math Institute did some research to find out if the heart responds to emotional input the way we hear about in love songs and see in movies and everything. Does, like, you broke my heart, or you lifted up my heart, or you made my heart feel so amazing. Is anything actually happening to the physical heart when we give people emotional input? That was their question at Heart Math Institute. And so they hooked people up to EKG machines and gave them emotional input. And yes, the heart does respond. The nature of the heartbeat changes with emotional input, positive and negative. They also discovered that the heart has its own set of neurons that send messages to the brain. So what we want to do is strengthen neural pathways, heart to brain, for the child's goodness. And so that's all learning, strengthening neural pathways. So we learned 2 + 2 is 4. 2 + 2 is 4. We got a neural pathway for 2 + 2. You have a neural pathway for everything you've ever learned. And so what we want to do is build what I call deep ruts in that child, a deep rut neural pathway for the child's goodness. And then we get to form who the child actually is and how he or she sees himself or herself.
Awesome. That's such a visual piece for me. But also just, I'm thinking through, like, if a child experiences all this positivity and the affirmations and makes these deep connections, it's just going to naturally flow out of them for generations. Like, it's not just a once and done one kid, it's a family type of modeling, if you want to say it that way.
Really, absolutely is. It really is. And so sometimes parents say, well, they're going to go out into the world and the world's not going to always tell them everything they do right. So why should I do that? The world's going to tell them they're doing things wrong all the time. And what I often say is that if you, as the parent or the preschool teacher or the child care provider, have been strengthening that child's sense of self, that's the child you're going to send out into the world equipped to handle some of the bumps in the road. So that's the reason for doing this. Plus, it strengthens your relationship with them and helps that child feel safe in the world. And a child who feels safe in the world can take some bumps. A child who doesn't feel safe in the world has a real hard time with bumps.
Wow. And you wouldn't know that until they were quite a bit older. Really.
Another objection that I had from a parent was, I don't know if I want to be responsible for my child's neural pathways. That sounds like a big assignment.
That's fair.
And the answer to that is you are anyway.
Yeah.
You're always forming neural pathways, heart to brain, for your child. Either you're a good kid and you're doing the right thing, and I'm so impressed by you, or you're not doing the right thing, and I'm really frustrated with you, and you're making me really mad all the time. So we are strengthening neural pathways all the time. We just get to choose which ones we want to strengthen.
I understand that parents' perspective of realizing the weight of what you do as a parent on your child and their development. It's quite weighty. And I think that's why it's important to have these conversations to keep in mind as your mind and your emotions are getting out of control and you're trying to react instead of think through what your actual response could be.
Right. So it involves calming your own central nervous system, turning your own amygdala off a little bit, going more into your own prefrontal cortex, because we all have amygdalas as parents too. We have to remember that this is everybody. And so a child does something and that sets off our amygdala. And so we have to override that. And as adults, we can just calm ourselves. Children, little ones, can't do that yet, but we can. We can say, you know what? I don't have to get upset about this. This is just the child's brain doing this. It's not my fault. It's not the child's fault. I can react with connection and compassion, and we can get past this. And so if you use your rational brain and your new plan, then your amygdala doesn't have to fire as much.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you've practiced it, that's even easier, right? I mean, the more you practice it, the easier it's going to get.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The other thing about that is that it rewards you when you see the results. So it hooks you to respond with connection instead of punishment or consequences, because you see it working and then you want to do that again. So you get hooked.
You made me wonder something. So I've heard a lot of conversations about the difference between consequences, punishment, discipline. Where are you on that with helping kids develop emotionally?
Well, discipline, the root word is teaching. And so what we're always doing is teaching the child who he or she is in our eyes and whether they're safe or not. That's discipline. And it takes discipline on the part of the parents to realize that we want that child safe, and then we're going to get the good behavior. We want that child feeling connected to us, and that's where the good behavior is going to come from. We can increase the good behavior by connecting with the child with heartfelt appreciation. So the discipline actually doesn't have to be consequences and punishments. It can be simply teaching that child who he or she is in our eyes, which is a beloved kid.
Yeah. Well, what if you haven't done that yet? Is there still a chance to do that?
Absolutely. There's always a chance. It's never too late. I have coached parents of 6-month-olds up to 53 year old daughter.
53.
Mom asked me for help. Mom asked me for help with the 53-year-old daughter. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting idea too, because that was one of my questions for you was when do you know as a parent that you need or would benefit from parent and from coaching itself?
Just if you're feeling frustrated all the time and your child is reflecting a state of unrest. If your child is melting down all the time or acting disrespectful or defiant, and you just have no way to bring that child around, then parent coaching can really help. And we would be talking about these things, only applying it directly to your situation. So I've written a book called Present Moment Parenting, The Guide to a Peaceful Life with Your Intense Child. And all the principles are in there, but I always customize it to each situation. So let's just say the parents can't figure out why the child is being so mean to a sibling when this never used to be the problem. Okay, what's going on in the child's life? Oh, we're switching schools. Okay, you're seeing, see me. I'm feeling upset about switching schools. Or there's a divorce or a separation or a death in the family or a pet, or we work with foster kids who have had huge trauma as well. And so they're in a state of disequilibrium because they're not feeling safe. They act out. They're saying, see me. So we can help with any situation, and there's such a wide variety. Sometimes the child is not well, and so they have to go back to the doctor, and they're afraid of what's going to happen next. So whatever the situation, we apply these techniques directly to that.
And how often do you meet with people typically?
The first appointment is 90 minutes, and then the next appointments are an hour every 2 weeks. And because I give people time to change what they're doing so that they can report successes to me at the beginning of the next appointment. And I ask for that because it helps parents stay focused on their own successes and the child's successes. Because that's another big part of this is it's strengths based. We have to keep like tumbleweed, just gathering more successes until the parents feel like, okay, we got this. So that's how I do it. And I require 4 sessions to begin with, just because I want them to feel like they really are being supported in this change. Because it's a pretty big change for most people. It's a pretty big change. So I don't want it to feel like, okay, we got that after 1 appointment, we're done. It's not going to happen that quickly. So I stick with them until they feel really good. If they need more than 4 appointments, they can certainly keep coming. Sometimes they come back to me after 8 years. It's fascinating to watch.
That is awesome. This has got to be such a rewarding experience for you too, to see that progress and the changes.
It's the most rewarding work in the world, because when you think about it, everything sort of spins on that primary relationship, parent to child. How these kids turn out really is affected by how connected they feel to their parents. And so I love doing this work because the ripple effect is tremendous. And as you mentioned, Dori, earlier, it can be generational. And, if we want to help the world, this is the best way.
What a great cause and a great experience you have. That's awesome. Well, Tina, we are out of time, unfortunately, but I loved speaking with you, and I know that we're going to include some resources in our emails for people to reach out to you. So any last words?
No, just thank you so much for the opportunity to share this information with your audience, Dori. I love it. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Tina. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.